am back in Chicago this week during an unusually warm day in October, and I have the opportunity to check out the 2025 Volkswagen Golf R. And if you have followed me for a while, you know I used to be a GTI owner and I loved that car. However, there's one thing about this car that I'm going to tell you I don't like. And again, if you followed me for a while, you know what that thing is going to be. So you got to keep watching for that. What I'm going to do in this review is I'm going to do a quick walk around. We're going to talk about some of the things that are new on this vehicle, because there are some new things. Then I'm going to jump into the things that I like, the things that I don't like, and I'm going to end with some driving impressions. My name is Jill Ciminillo, and this week's car du jour is the 2025 Volkswagen Golf R. All right, I have now driven this vehicle for almost 500 miles, so I'm going to tell you it's a little bit dirty, and I apologize for that. But I did want to jump into the quick walk around of the exterior styling changes, because most of the changes are going to be right here up front. You have new headlight treatment, you have a new light bar that goes across the top, you have a new lit emblem. The Volkswagen emblem is now lit up, and your front bumper and fascia are redesigned. Now, the other big change that you are going to see for this model year is the fact that you have more horsepower. This has 328 horsepower, so this is equipped with a 2.0 liter turbocharged four-cylinder engine, and 328 horsepower. That's a lot. It is a lot. I really like this bright blue color for the exterior, and when you come inside, you'll notice that you've got some of the elements from the blue that carry onto the interior. And I will say this does have it's about a $4,000 package. It's a Euro package, which means that this does not have a sunroof, but you've got some other nice design elements that are going onto it. And I don't know, I really like the interior. Not going to get into it too much right now because, yeah, you've guessed it, that's already going to be on my like list. But a quick look here at the back seat, and I will say this seat is in my husband's position, and you can see I've got probably about 3 or 4 inches between the back of the seat and my knees, and my feet don't even touch the ground. So plenty of room for my little feet, and probably an average size adult will be able to fit back here just fine. Because this is, Golf R up-level model. You do also have heated rear seats, and you've got some USB-C charge ports back there. Take another quick look at the interior here with the large infotainment screen and cup holders here. So, yeah, and I have the wheel turn funny so that it looked good from the outside. No judgment. No judgment on my driver's seat either. All right, it is now time for me to jump into the things that I like on the Golf R. And you know what? I'm just going to start with my driving position. I feel like I have a really good driving position as a petite driver, and frankly, this was something that I did not like about my GTI because I didn't have enough room between my knee and the underbelly of the dash, and so every time I would move my foot from the brake to the gas, I would, hit the steering column, and I would hit the underbelly of the dash, and that was not my favorite. That was the thing that I liked the least about that car. But this actually has a really good setup, and I feel very comfortable as a driver on the shorter side of things. I like the materials on the steering wheel. I like the layout of the steering wheel. Everything is really within easy reach. And even though you do have, they're kind of more capacitive touch items on the steering wheel, I feel like they give you a solid click when you press it, so you know that you actually did what you intended to do. So I do like the steering wheel controls and the materials on the steering wheel. And you know what? There's a lot more to like. So let's take a look. Now that I have the camera turned around, I want to say one of the biggest things that I really like about this interior is going to be the interior trimming and accents. I love this blue that is carried throughout. You've got the piping, the stitching, the embroidered R. You've got the suede material on the seats. I like the fact that these seats are comfortable. sat in them for 6 hours, super comfortable. And I really like this material. This is actual carbon fiber trim on the dash. It looks really good. I mean, it may feel like plastic, but this is not plastic. This is actual carbon fiber, and they've got it on the door panel as well as on the dash, and I think it looks really good. I like all of the design details here. I think they've done a good job, you know, carrying this accent throughout the vehicle, and it just, to me, it works. It looks really good, and I mean, it helps that blue is one of my favorite colors. I really like the large screen that you've got here. I like the digital display here. And I love the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It works really well. You have, you know, it's very swipeable. Okay, it's a little bit laggy because I'm filming with my phone while my phone is connected to this, but it's very swipeable. It's very quick. And I like the fact that you have this little icon up here at the top of the menu so that you can very easily switch between the car things and then go back to Apple CarPlay, or, you know, go to the native navigation in the vehicle, or back to CarPlay, and then you could go to your Google Maps, Apple Maps, your Waze. And I like how easy that part of this infotainment system is to deal with. You also have this really nice digital display, and you do have the ability to change how it looks a little bit in terms of your view. And you can also change what you see in some of the various circles. So you have some options here in terms of what you can show in the various sections of the digital display. I typically like the average fuel economy, and then, you know, I have been keeping a compass up just because I'm getting ready for the Rebelle Rally, and knowing which way is north is always super helpful. But you do have options in terms of what you can do, and then the different views you can opt for, and I really appreciate that because it allows you to customize it, and you can see what you want to see in the behind the wheel cluster. Before I get into the biggest thing that I like on the Golf R, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I really like the camera on the Golf R. This is very clear, both in light and dark situations, and I really like the trajectory lines that come with turning your wheel. I also like the fact that you have this around view here that will tell you if you're getting close to an obstacle on any of the corners. So very helpful in tight city spaces. I like this. Even if you don't have an around view camera, you do have around view sensors. Now, without giving too much away of my driving impressions, I would be a fool if I said that I didn't like the 328 horsepower and how this vehicle handles. This is a really smooth operator. It's quick on the acceleration, and it handles the curves and passing maneuvers really well. Plus, because it has a smaller physique, it's really maneuverable in a tight city situation, which is one of the reasons why I really liked our Golf GTI so much. So, yeah, that absolutely has to round out the like list, is the ride, the handling, the horsepower, and more on that in a minute. All right, it is now time for me to dig into the things that I don't like on the Volkswagen Golf R, and I'm going to tell you most of these things are not a deal breaker, but there is one reason why I would not buy this car. I'm saving that one for last. But the reason why I moved over to the passenger seat is because when my husband was in the car with me, he was actually the one who pointed this first thing out to me. Now, while this is bad for him as a passenger, this is not necessarily bad for me as a driver. But if you do have a passenger in here who likes to mess with the infotainment screen, yeah, this is actually tilted towards the driver. And I found when my husband was trying to deal with the audio, he was literally getting into my driving space, and so that he could see what was going on. And, you know, just to get into the audio. And I will say, while I like this large screen, I like the fact that, you know, this is fairly intuitive. There's a lot going on here, and you have to tap through a lot of things to get what you want. Additionally, there are no dials. There aren't even dials for the controls on your steering wheel. You just have these capacitive touch things to change your volume, to, you know, deal with your HVAC, to do all of that. And tune your stations. I don't like having to go through and like tune your stations by touching the screen. And somebody who is OCD, you can already see there's a lot of fingerprints on here. So the orientation of the screen is a little bit off for the passenger. Great for the driver, unless the passenger is in your personal space while you're driving. And then just generally some of the layout of this infotainment screen is just not ideal. And you know, I do like these top nav items, but there's one thing that I think is missing here, and that is going to be any kind of a button or a hot button for your backup camera. And the only way you're going to be able to get into it is by putting it into reverse. And I just sometimes, you know, you want to have it up without having to go into reverse. So that bothers me a little bit. So outside of the infotainment system and that situation, there are a couple more things that I don't like on the Golf R. One of those things actually happens to be this right here. I'm really not a fan of auto stop start systems, and the auto stop start system in the Golf R is not ideal. It creates a little bit of lag when the engine shuts off and turns back on, and so I don't like that. It's also a little bit clunky when it powers down and then powers back on. So I just also don't see the point in a high performance vehicle like this, or a sporty hot hatch vehicle like this. I don't see the point in having it anyway, because anybody who owns this vehicle is not buying it for the fuel economy. Let's be honest. And yeah, I mean, the fuel economy average is 25 miles per gallon in combined driving, and you can see I'm doing better than that. But nobody is buying this car for fuel economy. They're just not. So this to me doesn't make sense. And you have to turn this off every time you're going to turn the vehicle on. That's annoying. Now, the final two things that I don't like are actually in this area right here. And no, I'm actually not going to comment about the wireless charger, because I'm kind of ambivalent about the wireless charger. It charged my phone. So I left Indianapolis, it was at like 60%. I came, got back to Chicago, and it was at 80%. So it actually charged my phone. It did heat it up. It did stop charging it occasionally so it could cool down, but it did consistently charge. So this is not a charger that sucks. So that's not on the do not like list. Not really on the like list either, though. So, first, let's talk about the shiny lacquer stuff. They've minimized it. It's all around the gear shift. You don't have really much on the dash, and you don't have any around the door handles. But having it here, to me, is very fingerprinty, and it's around an area where, you're probably going to rest your hand, because people are used to resting your hand on a gear shift, even though you don't really have a gear shift. And so I see this getting very dusty and fingerprinty, and oh, hey, why didn't they carry this material down here? That is a novel idea. So I don't like that. And then, yeah, the big thing, and this is the deal breaker for me, this is why I would not buy this car, is this does not have a manual transmission option. For 2025, nope, the only transmission available is going to be this 7-speed DSG dual clutch transmission, automatic, and yeah. I mean, okay, yeah, you do have paddle shifters. You have paddle shifters, but I want the manual transmission. Yeah, this is the deal breaker for me. All right, so at this point, I want to jump into some driving impressions, and you may have noticed I have pulled my husband into the vortex. He really loves to be on camera, so give us a like just because. All right, so we used to own a Volkswagen GTI, and obviously my husband hasn't been able to drive this car, but I figured I wanted to draw him into this. There are a couple of reasons. First off, I wanted him to compare this to the GTI that we had, but also I really wanted him to talk about the seats. I would like you to talk about the seats, because they are made for, I feel like, somebody like my size. You are not my size. How do you like these seats?
Actually, the seats aren't bad. The fact that they're cloth. Oh, we're not going to the grocery store.
No, we are not.
Got it. Because they're cloth, they expand much better, so they're quite comfortable, actually.
Okay.
Surprised?
I
mean, even on the width.
Yeah, no, they're very, very bigly bolstered.
If they were leather, they'd be a lot tighter.
Yeah. Okay. So we like the seats. like the acceleration. Whee!
I hate that it's an automatic.
That was the biggest thing that I was on my do not like list, and I said that this would be a deal breaker for us.
Yes.
It would totally be a deal breaker for us. What's the car you want to buy instead of this?
Am I allowed to say it?
Yes.
Oh, cool. A Subaru WRX TS.
Yeah. So that's the car.
Because it's a manual. Although the seats here are much more comfortable.
So if we could take the
you
seats,
get that thumbs up.
Yeah, we could take the seats from here and put them in there.
Ooh, maybe we could go to a friend in Detroit and swap seats.
Maybe. I don't know. Oh yeah, we do know somebody who makes seats.
Exactly. Idea.
Bing. So outside of the seats, what are your thoughts on this vehicle as opposed? So we had it was a 2018.
Yes.
My brain not working today. GTI. So this is a couple model years newer. What are your thoughts on like the infotainment and stuff like that?
This is going to make me sound old. I don't like that there are no knobs at all in general. I don't like that there's not a volume knob to raise and lower the volume. I don't like that for the air conditioning and heating there isn't a way to manually. You have to go through a couple of screens to increase or decrease the fan rate, which is kind of annoying. I do like the fact that there's a lot that's in front of you, which is nice. I don't like the fact that this has an auto stop start on a sports car. That to me logically doesn't make sense. But otherwise, it seems to have most. Oh, and the gear shift's really annoying. But other than that, seems to be nice.
Well, and I also pointed out too that the screen is pointed towards me, and so when you were trying to adjust it, you were kind of invading my space a little bit.
Not my problem.
Yeah, could be your problem. I could make it your problem.
It would still get adjusted.
It'd still get adjusted. Yeah, because apparently when I'm driving, I don't get to control of the music, and then when he is driving, I still don't get control of the music.
No.
I don't understand how that works.
It totally makes sense.
It does not make any sense.
Totally makes sense.
It does not make sense.
Tell them your musical taste.
Hey, I like top 40, hits one, pop music. Sue me. Somebody else is aging himself with the old stuff that he likes to listen to.
And the new stuff.
You don't listen to a lot of new stuff.
Enough. Yes.
But outside of the dueling car review here and the he said she said that we've got going on, I did want to say, I did drive this in Indianapolis, to and from Indianapolis, and overall for the long haul, I thought these seats were super comfortable and had plenty of padding and give, but the right amount of firmness so that I didn't feel like I was going to get really stiff by the time that I got out. I think this is a very comfortable car, and I had a lot of joy driving this in traffic and not traffic, and I like pretty much everything about this car, from my driving position to how it handles to the horsepower. There's just that one thing that is a deal breaker.
It's not automatic.
Yeah. But I mean, if you don't care, this is a great car. Everything about this is pretty cool, and I don't know, other than the transmission, that anything else that I didn't like was a deal breaker. Obviously, you have to decide that for yourself. But I think, before I get too rambly, that's about what I have to say about the 2025 Volkswagen Golf R. I like it. I think Volkswagen did a good job with it, except for the whole manual transmission thing. Not to belabor a point. And that's just what I have to say. So thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe below, and really give us a good like, especially if you would like to see more of this guy. Yes, lots of likes. And I will see you next time with a new car du jour. You can, but I may bleep you out, and if it's not swearing for a reason, like, why would you want to swear?
Because I can.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
But I have to.
Why?
Because it's me.
Whatever.
La la la.